Look at this, Susan spending time on her phone. She's yapping on about how I'm on my phone too much. Yeah, here she is on her phone. So I think we should actually flip the script right now. Susan, what on earth? Hey there, before we get into today's episode, just a quick message. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already and you enjoy what we talk about and the discussions that Susan and I have on this podcast, really help us out to share this message with everyone if you were to just click that button. So if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe and enjoy the episode.
All right, so welcome back to Teen Talks. And today we're going to do a little role playing. And I am going to be the mom who's asking the teenager some questions that I have because I don't understand. All right. So Rehan is the teenager, not too far from real life. I'm the mom, totally real life. Here we go.
Let's go.
Rehan,
What's up?
why are you on your phone all the time?
Why aren't y'all on your phone all the time? That's my question to you, Susan. Um, here's here are the different reasons as to why we're on our phone. First of
Why
all, there's
you
a
are?
whole, yeah, me and all of my friends, we're all
Oh,
on our
okay.
phones all the time,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
guess you're all doing it.
And I'll tell you why. First of all, there's a world that we have access to, and it's called social media. And sometimes it's fun to go into that world and scroll and enjoy the content that's out there so that we can have a laugh, so that we can possibly feel inspired, motivated. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I mean, I personally, I like texting. I like texting my friends, keeping in touch with them, keeping conversations going with them online, sharing things with them as well. So I think that's the biggest thing that I do when I'm on my phone. It's like, just interacting with people. I don't think that I'm on my phone all the time playing games, even though that is something that I do sometimes. But it is mainly just to keep in touch with my friends, to keep conversations going, and also to connect with other people around the world. I know a few people who live abroad. They've gone away for school and stuff like that. So I like to keep in touch with them.
Okay, but it's so much. It's just so much. And
Yeah.
do you ever, I mean, like, are you watching movies on there? Are you watching, I mean, interacting with people on social media? Or I mean,
Yeah. Sometimes, for example, like I'll throw on YouTube, I'll watch some YouTube, I'll watch some of the people, the YouTubers that I enjoy watching. I'll watch movies, TV series sometimes on my phone, but you know, that's usually in the evening when I'm about to go to bed and stuff like that. So I'll typically watch things later on in the day. But then otherwise, I mean, yeah, like I said before, it's mainly just, talking to people on social media and just having conversations with them.
okay, so I'm gonna just kind of piggyback off that. So
Hmm.
social media,
Yeah.
um, do you feel, because you are on it so often, do you feel like you're getting a positive positive input from social
Hmm.
media, or do you feel like maybe it's a negative and it makes you feel less than, maybe? Or is there any, what feelings do you get from being on social media?
So I personally, I think I feel a bit of both, but I try and recognize like when it's good and when it's bad for me. So I'll give you an example of both situations. Sometimes, for example, when I see some of my peers and my friends, posting things about them, like enjoying a bunch of stuff, like going and traveling and all of that, sometimes I ask myself, like, oh man, I wish I could do that. And I start comparing myself to them, and I think that's where it's unhealthy. However, there are times where, first of all, I feel empowered because I see people who I look up to. Some of the influencers nowadays, younger people who are doing incredible things in the world. And I see what they're doing and I look up to them and I enjoy watching their content because it inspires me to want to do more and to just do more with my life, right? I see their success and I see what they're doing and stuff, and it inspires me. So I
Mhm.
would say that that is more of a positive thing. Um, but yeah, those are two examples. Like, sometimes it can be negative, and I acknowledge that it's true. But I also think that there's a lot of a positive with social media as well.
Do you see with any of your friends that social media hurts them?
So I feel like some of my friends can get really obsessed with social media. When it comes to these numbers and stuff like that, like how many likes they get, how many followers they have and stuff like that. So they
Mhm.
get uh quite involved when it comes to these numbers and things that I personally don't think matter too much. But I would be lying if I said that it doesn't matter at all, because I do think that we are in a day and age where social media does have an importance in our lives, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah.
So next question is, why are you in your room so much? What's going on in there? And why is it so dirty?
Why is it so?
How do you manage to live with all that in there?
Okay, first of all, stop critiquing all of this. This is my decor. This is my den. This is my safe space. I think that's a key word here, safe space. I think when you're a teenager, you don't have your own apartment or your own home or your own space, right? So your room becomes that for you. Your room becomes a place where you can kind of retreat to. And
Mhm.
that's why I remember, that's my reason for spending so much time in my room. It's because it is my space. And I feel that there should be boundaries when it comes to my space. Like, because this is my space, I get to have my privacy in this room. I get to do what I want to do in my room. And sometimes I'll do my homework in my room, but sometimes I'll also just be on my phone or I'll be on my computer or, just doing whatever I want to do without wanting anyone to kind of know what's going on, because I don't feel the need to share it with everyone. This is just my space, my time to do whatever I want to do. I think that's the biggest reason. And as to why it is so dirty, I mean, I just couldn't care less to clean it up, if I'm being honest.
But you have half of my plates and spoons and silver, all that is in your room, and I need it back into the kitchen. How can I get you to bring it back in, please?
I'll tell you one thing. If you tell me to take it back, I'll be less and less willing to take it back. That's the honest. I don't know why. I think it's just because you tell me to do things all the time that I'm just like at some point like, okay, just give me a break, you know? But I
Okay,
think
but
at
if I
some
need
point,
that stuff back, how do I get you to bring it back without upsetting you?
I don't know, that's a good question. Maybe give me some sort of incentive. Like if I do bring it back, then I get I get a little surprise.
Why?
I'd be more than happy, for example, to bring all of the dishes back into the kitchen and even wash them. I'll actually wash them for you. If in return, I mean, I don't know, I get a little something something.
Maybe fill them up with some more good food that could go back into the bedroom.
There we go. See, now we're
Okay.
talking. Now we're
Okay.
talking.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's good incentive. All right. So I got the message that I tell you too much what to do, and then that makes you not want to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing. Like I feel like I know that I should be taking the dishes back. And I think there'll come a point in time where I'll be like, oh yeah, I have to do this. Let me go and do it. And that'll come from myself. I'll take that initiative.
Mhm.
But I feel like if I'm being constantly told to do it, then I'm doing it like against my will. And then that's a weird feeling to have. Um, but yeah, and then, like I said, if you do really want to get me to do it, then give me something to eat.
Okay. And maybe
Uh,
I should get so less worried about it, and if need be, go buy some more.
I
Start
mean,
using
yeah,
paper plates and
maybe, or
plastic
maybe,
utensils.
yeah. I mean, I I don't want you to go and spend your money on more plates if like that's the thing. But I mean, at the same time, if you do like tell me nicely, then I think that, I'll be okay with it. And I'll just be like, okay, yeah, let me
Okay,
let
so
me
I
bring this
shouldn't
stuff
worry
down.
about you in that, right?
Yeah. Don't worry about me. I'm just living my life. I'm doing my thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's your
I'm all good.
independence.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So I'll get less stressed out about it, and I'll just let you do your thing. And all I ask is that you come out for dinner.
I'll
And
do
the one
that.
thing I promise you, when you come
Hmm.
out, I won't say, "Oh, finally you're out here now." I'll
Yeah,
just
thanks.
I'll just be kind and loving and appreciate your presence.
I
And
appreciate that.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So another question.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you bring your friends over to our house?
Want me to be honest with you here?
Mhm. That's what this is all about.
Well, Daniel's house is a lot nicer and a lot bigger. Um, and sometimes I don't know, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable bringing them over, if I'm being honest.
Right.
I don't know how you're gonna act with them. Maybe I'm afraid to be embarrassed by you, and that's just me being honest. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't feel that way, but it's the truth. But yeah, I just don't know how you're gonna act with them, and that's why I don't feel comfortable bringing them around, you know?
What is it that I would do that would embarrass you?
I don't know, I just imagine some scenarios in my head where, for example, my friends are over and I don't know, maybe you'd say something and I don't know how they take it or how they'd interpret what you say. Or maybe you'd say something to me about cleaning my room, for example, or something
Mm,
like that. And then that'll make me feel a certain way in front of my friends. So just things like that. I just don't know how you'd interact with them. And I feel like maybe a good way to kind of see how things would go is to see my friends outside of the house at first. Like you get to meet them somewhere else. Like maybe we go out somewhere together and
hmm.
then you can meet them and see how I get to see how you'd interact with them there. And then, if I do feel comfortable at that point, then obviously I'd be more than happy to have them home.
Okay, so you said you like to go to Daniel's house.
Yeah.
Are his parents there when you go there?
Yeah.
So what makes his house so much better than ours?
Well, they let us like do whatever we want to do pretty much. They give us a lot of freedom. So they're not always there telling us like, "Oh, what are you guys doing? Where are you guys? What are you guys up to?"
Mm.
It's pretty chill that way, you know? And on top of that, I mean, he has the coolest toys and stuff too. Uh, he has like Nerf guns. We play like Nerf Wars together. He has a PlayStation as well, so we have a lot of fun playing video games. Um, and yeah, and he also has like 5 controllers, so it allows everyone, all of our friends, to just come and play and stuff. So it's really cool. And his
Okay.
basement is huge, so we play hockey together. We even play soccer sometimes down there. I mean, it's just so much fun.
Hey, do they give you food too?
Yeah, but the food is always waiting for us. Like it always just appears out of nowhere and it's just waiting for us on like the table, which is pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I get what I need to do in order to get your friends to come over. I'll work on that too. Um, why, you used to like to hang out with me and your dad and your siblings and stuff and go on outings and things, but now you don't, it seems like you never want to go. Um, we miss you. We miss having you want to do stuff like you used to. So why don't you want to do that anymore? And I I just kind of feel hurt because I miss you having you around all the time.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm sorry you feel that way. Um, it's not my intention, but I think the reason why I feel like spending less time with you is because I want to spend more time with my friends, if I'm being
Hmm.
honest. Or just more time like in my own space. I personally feel like whenever we go out and stuff, it's just not really my vibe. I think I'm on a different sort of wavelength in some ways. I mean, I'm a teenager, I'm growing up, I'm discovering things about myself and about the world, and it just seems like you guys all have everything figured out, and I'm just lost. And I think I need to be with people who I relate to. So sometimes I just feel out of place, if I'm being honest, and that's why I don't always feel like I want to, go out for lunch with the family or go out for dinner with the family and hang out. So, so yeah, and sometimes I mean we go out for dinner with, those friends of ours who I mean I don't really like them too much. So I don't know. I just rather just stay home.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I just need to realize that that's part of growing up. And as parents, we have to realize that, I guess.
Maybe, or even I would say I think it would be nice for me at least to like I'd love to hang out with you guys more. But I also, in order for that to happen, I feel like I would want to be more understood or just to be more taken into consideration. I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just saying that at least for me, what's going on with myself and in my head and stuff, I just feel like I'm in this other world and that you'll never understand what's going on. And
Mm.
that makes it hard for me. So I don't know, just a feel of the sense of, wanting to be understood. I'm not asking for you to understand me 100%, but if you show me that you want to understand me,
What does
then
that look like? What does that look like for you? What could I do to show you that I really
I'm,
do? Because I really do. I just might not be showing it right, or maybe I don't
yeah.
know what to do, but I really do want to understand you. What could I do to make you feel that way?
I mean, maybe taking more interest in the little things that I do and the things that I enjoy, right?
Mm.
Like, I mean, I love playing video games, but I've never once had you ask me to play with me or, spend time or even learn about what I'm doing or the video games that I'm playing. And even doing something like this where we're just sitting down and you're asking me questions to get to know me better. Like, I don't know
Mm.
when the last time was where you actually asked me about myself to try and understand who I was, rather than just asking me why I'm doing things and why I behave a certain way. I constantly feel attacked when you do that. But if you were to sit down with me and just get to know me, get to know the person who I'm becoming, I feel like that would make a big difference.
Okay, I'll try to do that more. I'll try to listen because I really, really want to know what's going on, but
Yeah.
I want to approach it correctly so that you feel like sharing because sometimes I can tell you don't want to. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Um, and I, do
Thank
you,
you.
I mean, I know that sometimes I give you a lot of advice when I
Hmm.
do that. How does that feel to you, or would you prefer something different?
Yeah, sometimes I'm not always looking for advice. It's true. Sometimes I just want to be heard. I just want someone to listen to what I have to say, um, and then to figure it out myself, if I'm being
Okay.
honest.
Okay.
So, sometimes, yeah, when you do give me advice, then it just feels like I'm doing something wrong and that you know best. And then it's like the same narrative again and again and again of, you know, I almost feel like you think I'm worthless, if I'm being honest. Like that's how extreme it
Mm.
feels if I really break it down.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
certainly don't want you to feel that way because I don't think that way. But I can see how it could come across that way. So maybe what I should do next time, would this be more helpful, is if I said, I can see that you want to talk about something, or I can see that something's going on, instead of, hey, you want me to help you, or hey, whatever. Maybe
Yeah.
it's better if I just say, it looks like something's going on, or you don't seem like your normal self. Do you want to talk?
Yeah.
Do
I'd
you want
appreciate
me,
that.
do you want a hug?
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
and just let you just make that decision instead of me. Is
for
that better?
sure. Yeah, I'd really like that because instead of getting a lecture, then I can actually have a conversation, and that's what I want.
Okay, that leads into my next question because I was going to say, what's with the attitude and the attitude and why you don't do what I ask you to do? I guess you just said it, huh?
Yeah, I feel like I'm constantly being told what to do, and that removes my ability to just live my life and figure things out for myself, you
Hmm.
know? I understand there's some situations where I need to be told at least like maybe how to behave because what I'm doing is not right, and I get that. But in most cases, at least in my opinion, I'm just going through life. I'm making mistakes the same way I feel you've made mistakes in your life when you were younger. And
Hmm. And I still do.
yeah, and it's just one of those things where I almost feel like I need to go about a few things like on my own to just figure it out and fail on my own so
Hmm.
I can learn and grow from those situations rather than
Hmm.
just constantly being told what to do. Because I also feel like if I'm constantly being told like do this, do that, do this, then what's going to happen is later on in the future, I won't know how to solve problems. I'll just be that person who's going to listen to what everyone else tells me to do, and I'm just going to do that. I'm going to be a follower. And that's not what I want for myself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that
So,
also might be why I tend to retreat from spending time with you is because I need to have that space to have that freedom instead of always being told what to do and how to live my life.
okay, good to know. Um, so how to so I know that we give you rules and
Hmm.
established boundaries.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? And do you understand why those are there? Because I really do feel like you need some, but
Yeah. I agree. I agree that boundaries and rules are necessary, like in anything. Whether you're going about things on your own, you have to set your own boundaries and your own rules. But same way how in school there are rules, or in work there are rules, in all these different environments, there's always some sort of rules and boundaries that you have to respect. So I
Mhm.
think that they are good. Sometimes the way that they are enforced
uh,
might not be the best. That's what
in
I'll
what way?
say. Well, for example, if at home, for example, you know, let's say there's a house rule of chores or something like that, right?
Hmm.
And I know that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday I have to do the dishes after dinner,
Hmm.
right? I know that I have those rules. Like those are the rules that have been, agreed upon in advance. So I don't need you to tell me right after dinner to go and do the dishes because I know that I have to do them. And I promise you I will, but it might not be right after dinner. Maybe, I don't know, I have to go and do something right after dinner first, and then I'll get back to the dishes.
Okay.
However, if I do forget, and if on Tuesday morning, the dishes are still there, then it would make sense. And I agree with you. Yes. Now you tell me, look, you didn't do the dishes last night. Please make sure that they're done by the time I'm home after work, for example.
Hmm.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned something about
Mm-hmm.
that. You mentioned that we made to made. I think I can't remember the exact words you just used, but
Mm-hmm.
it was like that we established or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We is
Yeah.
instead of I know that sometimes I have my own like you need to be home at this time.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do this and this. You can't drive with kids in the car because
Yeah.
that's a law at your age.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a better way for us to communicate the boundaries so that you don't feel like I'm just doing this to you, like you gotta do
Yeah.
this? Is there a better way we could do that? That
Mm-hmm.
would that it would be more acceptable. You'd accept it easier.
Yeah. I think it comes down to us coming to an agreement. If we're able to agree on something, it's sort of like it makes me think about like a contract, right?
Okay.
If you and I are able to come up with the terms of this contract, of this agreement together, then we're
Mm-hmm.
both agreeing on it, then we can both sign off on it. However, if you come up with your own contract and you make me sign that contract, I'm gonna have a harder time because there are terms in that contract that I don't necessarily agree with,
Mm-hmm.
or I might not be okay with some of those things. I might feel like it's unfair, and it might be unfair.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, it comes down to, I feel, us having a conversation and coming to an agreement when it comes to these boundaries and these rules. Something as simple as when my door is closed, for example, in my room,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know that you feel that it's okay for you to walk in without knocking. But like I told you, that's my private space. So I would like for us to have a rule where you knock, and then once you knock, I tell you, yes, you can come in. That makes
Mm-hmm.
me feel more comfortable in my space.
Okay.
So something like that.
Okay. I get that. And then, some of the boundaries that we have, like you need to be home by 11
Hmm.
or whatever the time we decide.
Yeah.
Um, you know, when you're not home by 11, I start to worry.
Hmm.
And so do you see why that's so important? What
Yeah,
could
of
we do
course.
if, I mean, I understand there's times where maybe, oh, I'm not going to make it by 11.
Yeah.
But I still worry. And then I'm also like going, you know, I need to hear from you or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe we have set up something that, because it can't happen all the time, but I understand that things happen every once in a while. But if you don't say anything to me, or if I don't know, I'm going to go get worried and you're going to get in trouble when you get home. So, what can
Yeah.
we do about that?
Well, something that I can think of is that whenever I do go out, just so that we can have some trust between the two of us,
Mm-hmm.
is that whenever I do go out, I can share my location with you on my phone. That
Okay.
way, you know when I say that I'm going to Daniel's house, that I am at Daniel's house. That
Mm-hmm.
way, you don't have to worry about any of that. And then let's say
Okay.
I am late, I haven't come home by 11, at least you can see where I am rather than, you know, being completely out of the loop and not knowing and worrying and all that stuff. I can't guarantee you that I'm going to respond to you right away because, if you do call me or you text me or whatever, I don't know, maybe my phone's going to be dead or who knows. But I think that's a good first step for you to have my location. And at least I can tell you that if you do message me and you do call me, I'll do my best to respond right away.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think it's been really good. I've learned a lot about you. I've learned a lot about how to communicate better with you. Because after all, you are my the most special person in my life, and I, of course, want to have a good relationship with you because I know when I do those things you don't like,
Yeah.
it pushes us further away, and that's the last thing I want. So, um, as a mom, sometimes it's hard to pull back, but I see and understand why it's important to do so. So, thank you for letting me know.
I appreciate you for having this conversation with me.
Yes, I think it was very valuable. I
Yeah.
love you, honey.
Thanks, Mom. Okay, now my turn.